You wanna, give
Yep, that was the first one.
Bob the chair of finance?
Okay, hold on. Okay, I think we're recording.
All right. We'll call the finance committee meeting of the whole to order at 7 o'clock. Please take the roll.
Alderman Smith,
Here.
Alderwoman Hinkle,
Here.
Roger Smith,
Here.
Alderman Abbott,
Here.
Alderman Reese,
Here.
Alderman Olson,
Here.
a quorum is present.
Right, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
United
States
States of America, to the republic for which it stands.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item number 3, citizen comments. Do we have any tonight? Hearing none. We'll go on to item number 4, discuss approved 2023 budget items. And the first one is state aids.
Yes,
Tracy?
we were still waiting for the general transportation aids and they are hot off the press this afternoon, so. We are getting $57,439 more than we did last year.
How much?
$57,439
More than.
more than, yep.
Is that what we had anticipated or?
Nope, so I did change, the budget to reflect that.
What did we anticipate? Less than that? Or more?
I set it at the same amount, or a little bit more than, 2020. Actually, I kept it the same as 2022 until we got this number. So that is what we were waiting on. We knew we wouldn't have a number until I got.
Is
that.
this more than we had thought we were gonna get or less?
We figured we'd get more, but in the budget, I kept it the same as the previous year, because I didn't know what the number.
What number was the previous?
$292,677.
So it's substantially less, huh?
We're more. We're getting,
It's 57,000.
It was getting 57 more than that?
yeah,
Yes.
so we're getting.
One of us is
50.
speaking Spanish here, but that's okay. Well, that's good news then.
Yep.
All right, do we have to do anything? We have to approve that for the budget, I guess?
Yeah, make a motion to approve the state aids.
Okay. Anybody have any questions with Tracy about? Nope. The effect of that? All right. I'll make a motion to approve the state aids and 57,439.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Alderman Bob Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Roger Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Abbott,
Aye.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
Alderman Olson,
Aye.
Alderwoman Hinkle,
Aye.
6-0.
Okay, item number 2, library.
We're good on the library. I had that on there still from last week, but we settled everything last week, so nothing further to discuss.
I thought we had finished it. So I guess that's it. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Pass that down to his honor. Okay.
All right, welcome to the 7 p.m. Common Council regular meeting, October 10th. Please take the roll.
Alderwoman Hinkle,
Here.
Alderman Smith,
Here,
Alderman Reese,
Here.
Alderwoman Olson,
Here.
Alderman Abbott,
Here.
Alderman Roger Smith,
Here.
a quorum is present.
Are there any citizen comments tonight?
I'll just introduce myself since some of the council members may not have seen me before. My name is Nolan Franti. I'm an attorney here in town, at Law Group. We do some of the civil work for the city. We do the traffic prosecutions. Attorney Madden does those typically, and then other stuff on an as-needed basis. So we were asked to have somebody just kind of sit in and take some notes. If there are specific questions that come up on agenda items, I will answer them to the best of my ability if I can. or I'll tell you, I'll get back to you. Otherwise, I'm just gonna sit here and take some notes.
Thanks, Nolan.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Item number 3, consent agenda. Anyone like to move to approve the minutes of the September 12th, September 26th common council meetings?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of September 12th.
I'll
and
second.
20 and 22nd. or 26th.
Motion by Abbott, second by Alderman Bob Smith. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 4, report of officers, mayor's monthly report. Good evening. I'm happy to report that tonight we're conducting a dry run for our new audio video meeting broadcast technology at City Hall. We're in the process of finalizing the creation of the city's broadcast channel on YouTube, which should be complete within a matter of a day or so. The recording of tonight's meeting will be placed on the city's YouTube page within the next 24 hours, and we'll share the link to the public. Once we finalize the configuration for our broadcast account on YouTube, we'll begin broadcasting these meetings live with links updated and accessible directly from our city website. This is a fantastic advance for the cause of transparency and openness to the citizens of Mayville. I'm extremely proud to have assisted in getting this technology implemented. I thank the Common Council for approving the project. Further, thank you to City Clerk Sarah Decker for helping get this set up. To Bob from our IT group and to DPW for aiding in the hardware installation. As you can see, we finished this late this afternoon and we'll be in the process of tucking the cords away and making it neater here over the next the coming days. So this is but the first step in my plan for significant improvement in communication and transparency to the public. Next, on the November Common Council meeting agenda will be a vote to approve the recommendation of Personnel Committee to establish a short-term commission/committee formed to include an alderperson and several citizens of Mayville to explore and make recommendations to the council for consideration. The objective is to identify and optimize a blend of technology and media that will keep the citizens well informed on goings on within Mayville city government. Also, it is the city's intention to begin utilizing this equipment for all committee and commission meetings going forward. And we will begin training meeting chairs on the use of the equipment after we begin broadcasting Common Council meetings in November. Next topic, in 2021, it was determined that by statute, Mayville had fallen behind in its property assessment valuation and that a new valuation must be completed. The valuation process was completed recently, and as such, all property owners received their new assessed values in the mail. The average valuation increase was roughly 55% citywide. This immediately sparked a widespread concern that our property tax bills would be going up significantly. So there are 4 components to our annual property tax bill, one from the city of Mayville, another from the Mayville School District, and Dodge County and Kettle Moraine Technical College. For the city of Mayville portion, I'm happy to report that due to an increase in revenues from both new construction homes coming online and now paying property taxes, and also revenue growth within certain city departments, we're able to mitigate the need to drastically increase our city tax levy from this year to next. Furthermore, we're opting not to borrow funds in this year in the current turbulent rate environment. So what does this mean to the citizens of Mayville? Well, there's a couple of steps remaining in order to get all of this finalized, but just to give some rough guidelines. With the budget where it stands at the moment, we're looking at a mill rate that is dropping from what was last year or this current year, $7.91 per thousand in assessed value, all the way down to roughly, and again, this is an approximation and it still needs to go through a couple of steps before being finalized, roughly $5.30 per thousand in value. So where a $200,000 valuation for 22 would have resulted in Mayville property tax of $1,582, its new valuation of $300,000 would result in a tax bill of $1,590. I remind you that your total tax bill is inclusive of 4 components. The city of Mayville only has control of 1. So as long as the county, the school district, and the technical college make prudent and conservative moves with their budgets, we can anticipate our property taxes to remain fairly consistent with what we had paid last year. Strategically, however, I ask if it makes sense to wait 10 years to conduct a revaluation, or if perhaps it makes more sense to anticipate conducting one every 5 to 7 years instead, in order to mitigate the wild swing in values as we did this year. I'll make sure this goes to committee for further discussion. Further, it is true that over the past few years, the city unknowingly exceeded its prudent reserves in cash, something we refer to as the rainy day fund. As such, we'll look at ways to allocate funds strategically toward capital projects and or levy offsets in lieu of borrowing in this turbulent rate environment. Some debt is good, and we'll continue to look at ways to optimize the blend of debt load versus using cash to fund projects or portions thereof. The budget process has been a terrific learning experience. I'm thankful for the work that Alderman Bob Smith, our finance chair, provided, as well as the work of Comptroller Treasurer Tracy Nadolski. Thank you both. To each of our department heads, thank you. Each department made the necessary moves, which allowed us to structure our budget plans the way that we have. It's sound fiscal policy, and we're migrating to a more strategic approach to running our finances than we have in years past. A primary concern to me is the city's most valuable asset, its employees. In 2022, civilian wages in the U.S. have increased nationally by 5.1% in the 12-month period ending June of 2022. Yet the consumer price index has increased 9.1% year over year. For Mayville to remain competitive, we built a one-time 6.5% increase into the payroll budget for 2023. We've optimized the increase that we're able to do. It doesn't quite keep up with CPI, but it's the right thing to do and will pay dividends in the long term. We have fantastic department heads, terrific city workers. People are happy coming to work each day. We want to keep it that way. We're better off than many municipalities in the way our departments are functioning and the way they're working cooperatively to make Mayville function well for its citizens. In terms of current events, Audubon Days, kudos to Kristen Schaefer for successfully relaunching the 3-day format. You did an outstanding job. The Williamstown-Kikoski case is moving forward to the higher courts as relevant information becomes available. I will share details with the community. We welcomed Horicon Mayor Josh Moss to Mayville City Hall this afternoon to discuss ways that our cities can assist one another going forward. And I continue to interact directly with our citizens as I'm out and about each day. I appreciate every bit of feedback and support. It's my pleasure to serve our community as your mayor. Please do call or email me directly with any questions, comments, or concerns. And thank you for the opportunity to serve. It's my pleasure. With that, the next item, Resolution 5821-2022, appreciation of service to Merlin Collimer.
Whereas the city council members, city Mayville employees, and citizens of the city of Mayville would like to express their appreciation to Merlin Collimer for his public service contributions and dedication while being part of the PFC and EMS Commission for several years. Now therefore be resolved with the common council of the city of Mayville does hereby acknowledge the dedication and commitment to excellence that Merlin has shown during the service to the city and thanks him.
Now I'll make a motion. I'll gladly make the motion to approve that.
A second.
Motion by Kim Olson. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Merlin.
Great.
Great.
Thanks, Merle.
Appreciate all you do. So if we may go to a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, Merlin, thank you very much. All right. Next up. Thank you, Merlin. The clerk report.
All right, election update. November general election is Tuesday, November 8th. Absentee ballots for those with requests on file have been mailed out. For those that still wish to request the ballot, you can do so at myvote.wi.gov. If you still need to register or change your name or address, that can also be done on myvote.wi.gov and until October 19th. Registration after that date must be done in our office. Early in-person voting can only be done 2 weeks prior to the election, so that will begin on Tuesday, October 25th. We anticipate November to be very busy, so registering prior will save him at the polls. Bird City, we have achieved sustained flight in the Bird City, Wisconsin program. We must continue to meet criteria in 6 categories that promote community activities and conservation for birds. Our certification is renewed annually. The plaque is displayed in the lobby. Training update, Lisa and I both completed the gubernatorial election academy that was presented by UWGB. There was a lot of valuable information with the ever-changing election processes. I continue to work on the supervisory leadership certificate. I've completed 2 attempts so far. The next one being this Thursday morning. And then Board of Review, Associated Appraisal completed the phone and in-person open book. They said that everything went well. Residents can continue to reach out to them with any questions on their assessments. Open book will be held on Thursday, October 20th from 4 to 6 p.m. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Item number 5, discuss and approve and mass operators licenses.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Bob Smith, second by Jack Abbott. Chief, have you had the opportunity to review the applications?
Yes, all of it.
Okay, we're all good. Any discussion? All right, do we need to take a roll?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item, committees, commissions, and boards, Water and Wastewater Commission. Item number 1, ordinance. Introduce 1133-2022, an ordinance amending 430-27 and creating 430-49 groundwater protection ordinance of the municipal code of the city of Mayville relating to the protection of the municipal water supply. You have a motion to introduce?
I'll make a motion to introduce the ordinance.
Motion by Roger Smith,
I'll second.
second by,
You don't need a second.
just the introduction,
Yeah.
no vote?
No.
Okay, all right, next item, thank you. Date and time, the next meeting for water and wastewater is going to be Tuesday, November 1st at 4 p.m. Next item, library board monthly report,
Jennifer is out of town today, so she won't be present.
no report.
Not a whole lot going on. Still moving forward with the building project. I know there was some discussion on maybe picking out furniture. Everybody can kind of see they're definitely in the excavation phase there, so I would suspect things are gonna continue to move along pretty quickly, especially with the cold snap. You're probably gonna be able to push and make things go faster.
Awesome, thank you.
What are we gonna do with the existing building?
It's
Do
being,
it what?
we're,
Existing library building?
we'll put it on an agenda for discussion at a later date, but it's, we have an agreement as a part of this to sell that library, and the proceeds will go towards budgeting on this, on the new library.
Okay.
Yep. Next library board meeting will be Thursday, October 13th at 6 p.m. Next item, Public Works Committee, Resolution 5808-2022. Approve naming dedication of City Hall.
This was tabled from last one for further discussion.
If you'd like to have a discussion, somebody can make the motion. If you would like to move on, we can simply not put a motion on the table.
I brought up an idea the last time. Has that been looked at all?
So I think I would have to take a motion to have further discussion on that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll make a motion, have further discussion.
okay, motion by Olson,
I'll second the motion.
second by Abbott. So I don't take a vote yet, it's just discussion.
Right.
Okay, so I spoke to the son, explained our position, and that alternatively, we would look at doing something like a bench or something in his son. He's disappointed. But look, I think, you know, I've spoken with many people in the community, and the resounding response I get is that I haven't heard a huge movement in support for changing the naming of the city hall, and many people have said that it would be inappropriate to do.
It probably would be costly as well.
That's true, and the family said that they would cover that. I do want to point out, I was looking, if you look in the lobby as you go through, that mayor's name is very prominently displayed on the dedication plaque, so. Unless there is further desire to discuss, I would simply recommend, I think it'd be appropriate to move it to a vote.
Makes sense.
I still like putting out a decorative bench with his name on it out front of City Hall. That's my view, or
Were they interested at all in covering the costs of a dedicated bench? or
I mean, I think
anything
we
like
could come up with something, right? I don't think this is, I think we, you know, from my standpoint, I think it would be appropriate to deny this motion, but again, Kim, we can work with the family and find an alternative solution.
okay.
All right, do we need to take the roll?
Yeah, so we'll take the roll, but this is, the resolution to approve the naming dedication.
So
If you
to-
don't
if-
wanna, then you vote
a no vote will mean we do not rename City Hall. So take the roll.
no. Okay, Alderman Olson,
No.
Alderman Abbott,
Nay.
Alderman Roger Smith,
No,
Alderman Bob Smith,
no,
Alderman Reese,
Nay.
Alderwoman Hinkle.
Nay.
The motion failed.
All right, motion fails. Date and time for next Public Works Committee meeting will be Monday, October 24th, immediately following Finance Committee. Item D, Personnel Committee, Resolution 5820-2022. Approve pay adjustment and job title of Police Department Administrative Assistant.
Whereas the Personnel Committee met on September 26, 2022, and did discuss the job title and pay adjustment for the Police Department Administrative Assistant. And whereas the Personnel Committee did recommend that the position title of Judy Bauer be changed to Public Safety Administrative Specialist, and that a wage shall increase to for hours starting January 1st, 2023. Now therefore be resolved that the Common Council of the City of Mayville does hereby approve the above recommendation of the Personnel Committee.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, motion
I'll
by
second it.
Hinkle, second by Bob Smith. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Alderwoman Hinkle,
Aye.
Alderman Bob Smith,
I,
Alderman Roger Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
Alderman Abbott,
All right,
Alderwoman Olson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Excuse me, thank you. Date and time next meeting. Monday, October 24th, immediately following Public Works Committee meeting. Public Safety, item 1. Ordinance adopt 1133-2022. Amendment to chapter 150 animals, article 1, keeping of animals and fowl.
I will make the motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved by Jack Abbott, second by Roger Smith. Discussion?
The only thing I have in mind, or my question is, if right now it's stated as 5, where I thought 6 was more appropriate, and my question is, if that ever changed, would it be a cost to have that change, the ordinance?
Yeah, you'd have to redo the ordinance as it's written. If it says 5, if you change it to 6, you'd have to pay to change it, yeah.
I would like to see it at 6 myself.
but that would delay the adoption, right? So,
Not necessarily, because you're not substantially changing the ordinance, and we've already posted it.
so you could make a, you could make an amendment, I suppose. Motion to amend.
I think you have to amend it anyways if we're going to accept it with the
Changes,
changes.
recommended changes.
So I think if you're gonna accept it with those, you're just throwing that other one in there, wouldn't probably be the end of the world.
What was the other one?
It's in if you're in the
Yeah. I need to
packet there.
find it. I read it earlier today again.
So I think if I have it right here in front of me, I'll just break it down.
Okay.
One was considering increasing the penalties, especially for subsequent offenses as a deterrent. The default penalties for an ordinance violation under section 1 through 4 of the city code are not less than 25 or more than 1,000 for a first offense, and not less than 50 or more than 1,000 for subsequent offenses. So I think the attorney's recommendation is to just make this pair up with the rest of the city code, which I don't see an issue with.
Is that what it's doing, matching up the rest of the
What,
city?
what is it as of now with dogs and cats?
I think that's what it is. That's what he's saying with his recommendation is section 1 through 4 of the city code. Right now is not less than 25 or more than 1,000. And then that's for the first offense and not less than 15 or more than 1,000 for subsequent offenses. So he's saying instead of the way it was written with no more than 25 for a first offense and 100 for a second or 200 for subsequent, he's saying just make it match what the rest of the city code is, which is, I think, a sensible thing to do.
Yes,
I added that in, it's up to the council ultimately what they want to do for a penalty. I'm just here to provide some options and to just point out that there are default penalties for just ordinance violations, and they are higher than what's in here. So you can fix it however you'd like. That was just a suggestion if that's what you want to do.
So with the ordinance violation, the normal one would be $25, the first violation, and the second one would be 50, but we have, if there's some mitigating circumstance that indicated it ought to be higher, I mean, why is that such a huge variable, 25 to 1,000? I'm not quite following that.
I think it just, it gives some discretion to whoever's ultimately imposing the forfeiture on that. As to some leeway on that, so it do depend on the circumstances. Chief, do you have any input on that?
Yeah, technically, we'll look at each situation as on its own merit, and decide what type of enforcement action will make the most sense to get compliance. And if we get people that are completely uncompliant or confused or whatever the circumstances are, that we can change that fine amount up to $1,000.
If we ever approach that?
We have.
Okay.
We have used that in other ordinances for various situations that have warranted it.
So it's got some teeth if you need it. Yeah. All right.
And so I think it's sensible, just keep it, I think it's a good recommendation and just keep everything kind of
Yeah.
consistent. I believe, is everybody good with that one?
Yes.
The second recommendation here is if only hens are to be allowed, then they recommend replacing all references to fowl with the word hens. The definition of fowl can include certain types of land-based domesticated or wild birds and is broader than hens or even poultry, which are defined as domesticated birds kept for eggs or meat. So again, it kind of boils down to semantics here, so I don't really think there's any reason not to take them up on that suggestion.
I agree. I think that makes sense. Change it to hens.
Third recommendation, if everybody's good with that one, is just at the end of 152.3, hence to be confined. There was some wording there that said, or such other personal attention as will reasonably control the conduct and actions of the fowl. I think there was just a small bit of concern there that potentially somebody could use that as a loophole, so if it makes it more concrete to just omit that language, then we could just omit that language. And I think that's basically what the recommendation is. It's just nix that out of there and then it kind of wraps it up pretty neatly.
I would agree.
I think that makes sense. I do have a question though. Does anybody actually leave chickens on a leash? I've never seen that.
We had turkey on a leash.
but turkey I've seen.
Yeah. There
That's scarce.
are, that is a legal guide animal for veterans and other people with emotional issues to have poultry be a guide animal.
Right.
They're allowed on airplanes for, that's a guide animal.
Do we have anything in your, I didn't see any little guide animals in here.
I don't think we need to. I think,
That's a federal thing.
yeah, that's way out of the scope of
Okay.
what we have any control over.
I'm just waiting to see somebody leaving chicken around on a leash. I just want to see that.
I have trouble with my cats, so.
Bob the turkey walked the city streets on a leash for over a year. The turkey,
Who actually was female.
right?
How long did it take? Never mind. And then I think there's two more recommendations here, down under 152.5. The keeping of hens shall be subject to the provisions of chapter 303 of this code. I think we're good with that. There's just prohibited practices, so prohibited from keeping roosters, which is defined as a male domestic fowl older than 3 months of any species. Also included in prohibited practices is the slaughter of any poultry or fowl. Again, that's all reasonable. And then 152.7 is premises resignation. The keeping the fowl should be subject to the premise registration and all other requirements contained in Wisconsin statute 95.51. and Wisconsin Administrative Code, Chapter ATCP 17 as amended, which are hereby incorporated into this ordinance. So,
State of Wisconsin does have mandatory registration for livestock, including chickens like this.
It is redundant, but it is remindful, which is
Sure.
a pretty good idea.
So does that mean somebody who wants chickens has to register with the state too?
They've always had.
It is free though.
Yeah, you just go online and give them your address.
so it just to address Bob's, just to address Bob's redundancy factor, so. The police can enforce anything that's on Wisconsin's books as laws, basically. So it really is just kind of a reminder in there, and I
So
think.
is that a voluntary registration or is it something?
No,
that
it's
they-
mandatory.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Is it something that we as a city have to make sure somebody does, or is the person responsible for registering the state themselves? In other words, are we policing that they're registering with the state? And the city?
It would be their individual obligation to do it. And it's correct that you don't have to have it in here in order for them to comply with it, obviously, they have to comply with it, if they don't, the police can cite them for it. And put in the ordinance to remind people, and then you can also then issue them a ticket under this ordinance, and it will incorporate the state statute as well. It would be a requirement that they have to do individually, the city wouldn't necessarily have to police that, you could make it a requirement for the application to show that they're registered.
Some cities do already have it that way, I noticed.
Are you
Yeah.
uncomfortable with that, Roger?
I am uncomfortable with undue regulation.
Aren't we all?
I would suggest, what I would prefer is, if we're gonna leave that language in there, let's leave it up to the individual to comply with the state regulations and not take up the burden of policing that.
Or on the city.
Is there a way to make the language say, if, poultry, people who raise poultry should be aware? That kind of can we make a caution in the ordinance, or must we?
I think that's kind of where the fee schedule would come in though too, right? So like, let's just say there was a complaint and, chief owner had to go out and check on it and he found out that they weren't in compliance with that particular portion of state law. He has the discretion on, $25 to $1,000 to say, hey, you should have known that it was your responsibility. Is that fair?
I can explain it a little further.
Thank you.
The purpose of registering with the state is pretty crucial for basically the health and safety of the community, because you can get the avian bird flu and all these other viruses that this poultry birds can get. And it's pretty dangerous. And when people register with the state, what it allows is when these pandemics come through with this fowl and livestock, then the state knows who to notify, who actually has poultry present on their property. So when these issues come up, then the state will basically notify those that have their birds registered, that this flu is around and whatever they recommend to do in that case.
It's more for others' protection.
Exactly, it's for the protection of those keeping the fowl
Correct.
themselves, because they can get whatever I'm not up on what the viruses are, the sicknesses, but it's quite dangerous from what I understand. So that is the purpose of the registration. It's not really a regulation as far as, so the state knows and you have to follow the rules and how you do things, or whatever, but it's really just for proper notification for the Department of Agriculture, so.
Well put, thank you.
Alderman Olson is correct that other municipalities do have a requirement for obtaining a license. The municipality that you show that you've registered with the state. So you could add that in here if you want. You could just put it on the application that, hey, you should be aware of this registration requirement, but that will be up to the council if they really want to do that.
Well, I would. I mean, if there is a danger of people, and not only be the fowl owners, it would be neighbors as well.
That's how the state keeps track of.
So maybe we should add that as getting
Well, that in the application itself in bold letters, it is mandatory that you report this and the reason.
Register this, register.
Yeah,
And
That
in the
doesn't
last 2 years,
necessarily mean it'll be
the
done.
state has, if you heard all these chicken shortages and poultry farms, they just send them a letter that say, destroy all your poultry, but there's been evidence that it's been in your neighborhood, and that's why there was a shortage of eggs and chickens, because chicken farms had to destroy all their stock just because of one nearby infection. That's how they enforce, that's what they do. They want to know, to be able to tell you that in your neighborhood, there's been bird flu. Watch for the signs. But I think it's probably the bold letters on the application is probably enough. I don't know. We need to foster double, I mean, it is redundant, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think thoughts, but
You think what?
I'm with you. I think if you put it in bold letters, it's fine because it's relatively redundant, but
that's what I think. Instead of putting more on the city and on Sarah. I think anybody who would get chickens to begin with are gonna be responsible people to begin with. And follow what they need to do.
So I think what I'm hearing is that.
Just put it on the app.
Make sure people know that they're required to register in the state.
Do we have anything else?
that was everything that was in the list of recommendations on there.
I have one other thing. I think I mentioned to Sarah on this. I believe that the current section 150-2 would also need a slight amendment on this, because the current ordinance, that's the one that just says no person shall keep or maintain any poultry, fowl, or any livestock such as horses, cattle, sheep, or goats in any zoning district except agricultural districts. So I think that also needs to be amended just to say except as otherwise provided in this chapter.
152, and then there's another number. Which one are you looking at?
I'm looking at 152, which is the general prohibition. If you're gonna add this ordinance as, what is it, 150-2.2, then I think you also need to amend the general prohibition to allow for an exception, which would be under this ordinance. So I think the language you could do, I mean, you could amend section 152 just to say, except as otherwise provided in this chapter, and then the rest of that section of the ordinance.
I agree with that.
It's just, that's not in this specific amendment. It's adding 152.2. It would also need to be an amendment to 152.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay. And are we in agreement to 6 hens? On this as well? Was that changed?
I'm not gonna oppose it.
What?
I'm not going to oppose it.
Somebody has to make first of all, we have to agree to the language that was recommended by the attorney and the change to the
amendments.
the discussion of the state requirement registration. And then you can make another amendment, changing the number if you want, to see if you can get the votes for that. Is that right, sir? I can't hear you. Can you go like that?
Yeah, so just so we all are on the same page, so all of the things that Nolan suggested, except for the 150-2.7. You want that excluded, correct?
No, what he
Or
said,
you
I
want that
agree
in?
with the 152 point.
That's
What-
the one about the state registration. You want that
Oh,
in or?
okay, no, that has to be in bold letters on the application. Yes.
We're leaving it as, we're leaving that in there. We're just not policing them. We're not.
So
making
leaving
part of
it
that
in the
fresh process.
ordinance.
Leaving it in the ordinance.
Okay,
yes.
so we're accepting all of the suggestions from Nolan.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
So should there be another amendment, or can we put it on
I
the
think
same
if you do it
amendment?
all together, you're making,
Okay,
if you're making a change,
well, some people may be opposed to one, but okay with the other, but we can try it.
I am. I'm for all that.
So right now. Tim and Roger had a motion to approve the resolutions. If you want to amend your motion,
Okay, so I was gonna ask to
that's
amend.
right, I can Jack and.
Okay. Jack,
So I guess you have to just determine how you want to amend it. Is he amending it to adopt this, the resolution with the,
Yes,
there you go.
I will,
with all the changes.
I will make the motion or change my motion. Adopting the ordinance according to recommendations of our attorney.
And the 5 to 6, or leaving that at 5?
We haven't really voted on, have we?
No, but you can offer that as
So what we're
part of the
suggesting,
amendment.
Okay.
roll that right in here, if you're comfortable with that. If you're not.
You know, I would say, I think yes.
Okay, so you're amending your
If
motion to
it's
adopt the
agreed.
ordinance according to the recommendations of the attorney and changing the 6.
Well, it has to be voted.
That's why I think it
That's
should
your
be a
motion.
separate thing. I mean,
You could do it separately because if not everyone's, sounds like everyone's in agreement as to these proposed
Right.
provisions that are noted in here that we did. If there is,
see, 5
Other
to 6
things
is
that-
a material change.
then I think you'd have to,
Do it separately.
you have to do separately.
So, okay, so Jackson amend his motion to adopt the ordinance according to the recommendations of the attorney.
Correct.
Roger, are you?
I'm in
amending that
agreement.
as well?
I'm in agreement.
Okay. So we can take a vote on that.
Take the roll.
Alderman Abbott,
Aye.
Alderman Roger Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Bob Smith,
I,
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
Alderman Olson,
Hi,
Alderwoman Hinkle.
Nay.
Motion carries 5-1.
All right,
now I gotta do the amendment from 5 to 6. And that's it,
If that's what your motion would be,
yeah,
yeah.
and then I need a second.
I'll second.
so the motion is by Kim Olson to move the number of chickens hens from 5 to 6, seconded by Jack Abbott. Any discussion? Take the roll, please.
Alderman Olson,
Aye,
Alderman Abbott,
Aye.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
Alderman Bob Smith,
I,
Alderman Roger Smith,
Aye.
and Alderwoman Hinkle.
Nay.
Motion carries 5-1.
Can I ask a quick question? When we did the recommendations in Jack's first motion, was that also incorporating the change to 152?
Yeah, I just put in there according to the recommendations of the adopting the ordinance according to the recommendations of the attorney. So.
And I did recommend that to you.
All right, resolution 5818-2022, approved class B fermented malt beverage license and class B liquor license for Gloria Anderson, Audubon Inn, Wisconsin LLC, 45 North Main Street.
Whereas the Public Safety Committee met on September 26, 2022, to discuss the Class B fermented malt beverage license and Class B liquor license for the Audubon Inn LLC 45 North Main Street. Whereas the Public Safety Committee did recommend the Class B beer license and Class B liquor license from October 10th, 2022 through June 30th, 2023 for Audubon Inn LLC 45 North Main Street, provided all fees are paid in full and that the premises passed an inspection by the Naval Police Department, Fire Department, and Building Inspection Department. Whereas the agent will not be Gloria Anderson as originally intended, but will be William Rolander. A notice has been posted revising the agent of record. Another for result of common council of the city of Naval does hereby approve the Class B beer license and Class B liquor license for October 10th, 2022 through October 30th, 2023 for Audubon and LLC, 45 North Main Street, provided all fees are paid in full and the premises passed an inspection by the police department and fire department and building inspection.
For a motion,
I'll make a motion to approve.
motion by Reese,
I'll second the motion.
second by Abbott, discussion. Chief, have you, is there background?
With the new agent, you haven't done background.
You did do a background on him for his bartender's license. I double checked that with Judy.
Okay, if that's the case, then
All
Yeah.
clear?
we didn't do it on one specifically for this.
For the bartender, but he had the background check done.
Same criteria, like same background?
Yep.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Date time next meeting, Monday, October 24th, 6 P.M. Finance Committee, monthly financial report, and review of the bills.
The total checks that were cut for the month of September were $428,401.53. The larger checks that were cut were the first one's for BMO Harris in the amount of $29,586.82. And that's our monthly credit card. The largest charge on that was for GFL. For our garbage in the amount of $24,883.65. Then Quick Trip in the amount of $17,235.99. Neo Water Treatment for $40,592.12. Town and Country for $145,025.62 for hydrant repair and for the laterals that were replaced. And then finally for Align Energy for our total monthly bills of $41,360.79. Our total ACH bills that were done were $117,339.37. Our gross payroll for the month of September was $200,950.98. There was an average of 125 employees per payroll. To give you a little notice, our employees had received a letter from ETF about hometown not being approved for a pharmacy for next year. I did talk with ETF, and they got back to me to say that the company that hometown uses that negotiates with them has now reached a deal, and they will be able to provide pharmacy for employees next year. So that's good. At the end of September, I had sent out some the new health insurance amounts. And then also the email link to look at the employees' health coverage for 2023. So they were able to look at that. And then Aflac was here on October 5th and 6th to help fill paperwork for benefits for open enrollment. If any employees missed it, there is still time to meet with James via Zoom for our open enrollment period, so they can contact me so I can put them in contact with him. And then on Thursday, we'll be doing a payroll validation with ADP. And on October 27th, we'll be doing a test payroll with ADP. And then also I've been working a lot with producing our master file for ADP for the information upload, so. That's number one. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Next item. Resolution 5815-2022, approved 2023 schedule of fees.
Could I recommend that we table this so that we can add the chickens on, because it was not originally added?
Okay, could I get a motion to table so that we can add the chickens?
I'll second it.
All right, second motion by Abbott, second by Bob Smith, all in favor, opposed. Motion carries to table. Resolution 5816-2022, approve the 2023 stray animal agreement.
Whereas the Finance Committee of the whole met on September 27 to review the 2023 Dutch County Humane Society straight animal contract and to recommend the following option to council. A lump sum of $3,600 covers up to 20 domestic straight animals. Animals in excess of $20 will be charged $300 per animal. Pre-approval is needed before accepting animals. The contract is attached. Now therefore be resolved that the common council of the city of Mayville is hereby approve the attached 2023 Dutch County Humane Society straight animal contract.
Get a motion to approve the 2023 stray animal agreement.
I make a
Make a
motion.
motion to approve.
All right, so I'll take a motion from Molly Hinkle. Roger, would you like a second?
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? Please take the roll.
Alderwoman Hinkle.
Aye.
Alderman Roger Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Bob Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Abbott.
All right,
Alderwoman Olson.
Nay.
Motion carries 5-1.
All right, resolution 5817 2022, approved tag center free Mayville taxpayer card.
Whereas the Finance Committee of the whole met on September 26, 2022, and did recommend giving the complimentary take center passes to the city of Mayville taxpayers. Whereas the coupon is good for 4 visits to the take center, now therefore be resolved that the common council of the city of Mayville is hereby approved giving the complimentary take center passes to the city of Mayville taxpayers.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Motion by Bob Smith,
I will second.
second by Jack Abbott. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Alderman Bob Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Abbott.
All right,
Alderman Roger Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderwoman Olson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hinkle.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Date and time, the next meeting, Monday, October 24th, immediately following Public Safety Committee meeting. Next item, Park Board, we have no report. Date and time of next meeting, Tuesday, November 1st, 6:30 PM. Next item, Planning Commission, Resolution 5822-2022. Approve certified survey map for parcels 251, 1216, 2312-073, -071, and -0070 Grove Street and Willow Circle.
Whereas the planning commission met on September 28, 2022, and to recommend approval of the attached certified survey map for the city of Mayville parcels 251, 1216, 2312, 073, 071, and 070, redividing the properties on Grove Street and Willow Circle. Now therefore be resolved that the common council of the city of Mayville does hereby approve the attached certified survey map for those parcels.
Get a motion,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
motion by Jack Abbott, second by Bob Smith. Any discussion? We need to take the roll.
We can.
Okay, let's take the roll.
Alderman Abbott.
All right,
Alderman Bob Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Roger Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Olson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hinkle.
Aye.
Carries 6-0.
Thank you. Resolution 5823-2022, approve replat of River Knoll parcels 251, 1216, 1412, 006 through 011.
Whereas the planning commission met on September 28, 2022, and did recommend approval of the attached replat for the city of Mayville parcel 251, 1216, 1412-006 through 011 in River Knoll Industrial Park. Now therefore be resolved that the common council of the city of Mayville is hereby approve the attached replat for the city of Mayville parcels in River Knoll Industrial Park.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
Motion by Bob Smith, second by Joe Reese. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Alderman Bob Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Roger Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Abbott.
Aye.
Alderman Olson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hinkle.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, the date and time of the next planning commission meeting will be Monday, November 14th at 5 PM. Next item, Community Development Authority, there's no report, date and time, the next meeting Wednesday, October 26th, 6 PM. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Roger
I
Smith,
will second.
second by Jack Abbott, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good evening.
Me too.
Thanks, Molly.
Thank you.